Good evening, ladies, menfolk, and non-binary viewers, to another episode of Game Break. I am Charles, coming to you this time round with another episode of Dysfunctional Systems. Last time round, we were left with a somewhat disconcerting emergency warning message thing on the television that kind of broke up the bar scene. So it's about time that we find out just what that was all about. So, going back to that. Now, I did notice, after recording last time round, that we do have a new codex entry. So, let's find out what that is first. It's an entry on Gaebria. Gaebria is a major society on Sul. It is one of the three most significant societies on said world, marked by extreme wealth and influence. It is the richest society on Sul and has connections with nearly all other Sul societies. Gaebria is currently a patriarchal monarchy with socialist leanings, government-funded health, education, welfare, etc. The majority of mediations on Sul have dealt with this society. Gaebrians began as a nomadic, trading people, quickly establishing a reputation for their amiability and good dealings. Trust was heavily placed in them for their reliability, and they often ended up playing intermediaries between several budding nations on their home continent. Eventually, seeing the value in the messages they were charged to carry between countries, they began trading information. Their mobility, connections, mercenary escort, and knowledge of secrets protected them from assault, and soon the nomads became rather notorious. At some point in time, they founded the Gaebrian nation along the coast of their continent. From their new settlement, they amassed a military and turned to imperialistic goals. It did not take them long to have much of the world under their influence, with colonies on every continent and a grasp on most countries. That doesn't sound familiar at all. Gaebria is also largely responsible for the technological advancement of S8659541. Their ingenuity and cleverness mixed with opportunism has pushed scientific discovery along much faster than the average system. They have managed to develop and act upon nuclear theory, powering their society and old colonies with rudimentary, somewhat experimental nuclear fusion reactors. Somewhat experimental, that doesn't sound good. Their latest project has been the construction of artificial islands on Sul's oceans. Currently, Gaebria remains at the top of Sul society. While it has granted technical freedom to all of its colonies, it seems that they are still leashed in some way or another to their mother country. Okay, that's a nice little bit of background. I'm pretty sure that showed up within the last 2 minutes of conversation before this television message kicked in, so I'm curious, how is that going to help play in? Let's find out. The message will now play. The crest vanishes, revealing a man in a suit at a desk. A dapper brown suit and a large brown desk. I imagine he must be important, as the crest from before is quite brazenly carved into the wood of its furniture. As for the man himself, he looks older than Cyrus, which is ancient at worst and aged 60 at least. He looks very tired. His face is worn and his expression does nothing for the mood. He does have some fake-looking hair, though. That's pretty funny. I almost have a small chuckle, but given the severe expressions of my company, I decided it would be best to stifle it. Brighton. Brighton, we have endured. As a people, as a country, as a workforce, we have endured these past 120 years. Surely you all are very, very tired. I, my people, my friends, am very, very tired. The word sobering meant little to me before this, but I completely understand it at this moment. The way this man carries himself, his speech, and his dour voice have all combined to chill the warmth from my head. I set my stool back down and have an actual seat, looking up at the monitor with certain intensity. The man has me engaged. I'm tired of the media portraying our common man, the fool, an ignorant sort all too glad to do the deeds of his betters. Tired of those foreign companies providing us work and wages that we will celebrate for only pennies more. Tired of hearing my people say in passing and in normalcy, "No, I do not know if we will eat today, perhaps tomorrow." Brighton, I am tired of our masters. I am so tired. People of Brighton, we have grown so used to freedom, we've forgotten that we are not free. This chair and this desk, this stage of an office on which I play my part, is evidence of that. I offer a serious and composed look to Cyrus. If I'm understanding this correctly, and I can't say I'm one for understanding much of anything on this world, it seems that this leader here is not as much of a leader as he might like. Which, frankly, I don't quite get. The way leadership works back home, at least on the large scale, is that several especially intelligent and reasonable people rule over all of us. The idea of power being not enough, or being feigned, seems complicated to me. Like, what's the point? Why the show? I'd like to ask Cyrus about it, but he isn't returning my gaze, and instead remains focused on the television. I suppose I'll just have to keep listening. But I'm not here to tell you the troubles of our state. I am not here to tell you the glory of our fathers. I am here to confirm the quiet whispers through the alleys and the worried murmurs of Gabrian elite. Pardon? Consider this a threat. People of Gabria, you have 4 hours to comply with my demands, or a nuclear weapon will be launched at your country. That can't be good. I'm with you on that one, Winter. This escalated quickly. Winter, come over here for a minute. I rise and step over to my mentor, feeling surprisingly clear-headed and befuddled all at once. He takes me from the counter, leaving the 3 gentlemen to discuss whatever it is exactly that the man on the television just brought up. Nuclear weapon? The hell is that? What does Barnaby think he's doing? Can't believe he really did it. What kind of place does he think this is? Sir, could you please break down what just happened? I'm kinda lost here. Winter. Ah. I know we've only just arrived, but did you look at the files you were given at all? I did. Have you been paying any attention to anything out here? I have. You have? You have? Then explain who that man is. Explain anything. Don't put me on the spot like that. The leader of Brighton, sir. President Barnaby. He's angry about Gabria. I'm not an idiot. Gracious, why can't I articulate it or explain it better? I just wanted to clarify some things because I'm shadowing you. Sorry, I reacted out of impulse. I forget how unprepared life in our world can leave us for these things. His tone shook me up quite a bit. I'm shivering a little. I was going to lie and say I understand, but I'm having a lot of trouble speaking right now. I want to go home. Winter, you may not have realized the severity of this situation. This isn't going to be community service like your first assignment. I know that. Hey, eyes up straight, Harrison. Allow me to be frank. Brace yourself, because there may be a lot of dying happening soon. Dying? But... I'm shocked, honestly. I figured those rumors I heard from Clark were only that. Hold it, death? I just thought... As far as we knew, this world hadn't even developed nuclear weapons yet. What did I think? He said weapon? Am I daft? Though with their strides in utilizing nuclear fission for electricity, I suppose it was only a matter of time. People are going to die? It's people dying. Just slow it down for a second. I suppose that's what comes with our job. Not everything can be in the dossiers, right? We smooth out the creases and bring chaos to order. Slow it down. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Though sudden wars really are rare. War? My mind starts to tumble and my heart tries to explode from my chest. I definitely can't handle this. War isn't something I'm supposed to take care of. Shut up. Don't excite the locals. I cover my mouth and raise my shoulders. Of course they're looking for a war. You can't believe people dying is just a commonality. Do you even think properly? I am finding it incredibly hard to think anything properly right now. Shaking, I turn to see the people at the counter. They thankfully are still engrossed in the president's speech. I look back at Cyrus and speak softly through my fingers. Shouldn't I go home? Yeah. Oh. This was supposed to be something like diplomacy. Goes to show you how important it is to get a look at the situation yourself. Anyway, if what I heard was right, we don't have the time to get you out of here without causing a scene. As you should know, interplanar shifts take longer to prepare than just moving from place to place. But I'll protect you no matter what happens, Winter, and you know how to escape if you really must. Yes. I don't know if I want to do that anymore, though, if he is talking about maybe dying. Of course, we don't have a lot of time in general. His demands I couldn't care less about, but this deadline... 4 hours. Consider this a powerful lesson and come with me. We proceed to exit the bar without saying goodbye. It seems like it is time to get to work. It is too bad that I'm terrified. We take to the streets at a quick pace, Cyrus leading to wherever. I find it difficult to keep up with him, though, and in more ways than one. My head is still swimming from the mention of war. What level is this war, do you think? You mean, what level do I think it'll be? It hasn't happened. With any luck, it won't. Luck? I'm thinking this could be something like a 4 on the scale. 4? 4? Oh gracious, 4 is 1 away from 5 and 2 from 6, which is terrible. 6 is very, very terrible. The worst. Even 4, though. A war without rules? This must be particularly gross. It is a very disturbing prospect. So disturbing that I grab my hair and almost shut my eyes. What exactly is this? What will happen? Test. What do you think? Is it really the time for tests? Be appreciative that I'm even doing this work, Winter. He seems so much more angry than before. How irksome. What do I think? What could it be? Well, first of all, Gabriel will respond to Brighton's threat. Possibly. Possibly? Why wouldn't they? I'll answer that for you, because it might work in their favor to ignore it. I don't get it. Just think, Winter. Okay, just think. Wonderful advice, you... Well, maybe they just don't care at all about Brighton, and they'll use this tantrum in it as an excuse to destroy them. That's... nonsensical, I know. Keep pointing out how I'm like a fish attempting to walk. That's right, Winter. You're right about why they wouldn't respond. What? How absurd. Isn't Gabriel a leech on Brighton's back? They need Brighton, so why would they want to destroy it? Well, they wouldn't actually destroy Brighton. What they would do is invade and take away what little freedom and independence this country still clings to. Then they would be able to take advantage of the citizens in ways unprecedented. What a disgusting thought. I can hardly even imagine it. Alright, now here's another question. Why does Brighton think it can take on Gabriel? Damn it, Cyrus. How should I know? The same way you knew the first answer. I was bullshitting. Language. Sorry, sir. Thinking about recent events might help. Goodness, is he trying to get me to think in the place of murderers? Those are boots I would not like to fill. I guess that I have to, though. He mentioned recent events. I can't think that the minimum wage increase would embolden this country enough to believe they could stand against an obviously superior nation. Especially was how unimpressed the president seemed to be about it. Even David wasn't terribly excited. Oh, David! What was it that David mentioned? Their new army. The person I spoke with, his name was David. He said that Brighton had gotten a military recently to defend against the border country, Ferdia. He said it was because Ferdia is dangerous and ignores treaties. But isn't it far more likely that this army was actually created to engage with Gabriel? With an actual military and what seems to be a new kind of weapon, at least judging from how the locals reacted, then that would explain their confidence. I think. See, Winter, you are cut out for this. Wait, don't reference things I mumbled to myself before we came here. Creep. Then you understand the situation. Yes, but I'm curious. Isn't this more like a level 5 war? As Brighton and Gabriel are technically separate, I can't call what might happen a civil war. Then it's a technicality? Just a technicality? I figured Brighton and Gabriel were still very close. Well, look at you. You're all calm. I frown with indignation. I am not at all calm, if this is essentially a level 5 war. Well, you look it. I do not let up with my frown. Well, that isn't all there is. How this might proceed largely has to do with what level I would give this potential war. Cyrus stops, and I stop in turn. We are now in front of a fountain. It took me the entire time till now to realize that the city streets are deserted. The doorways are even clear of those ragged children who would ask us for pennies. Could it be that everyone is listening to the address? Before I can drift off on this thought, Cyrus looks down at me. A nuclear weapon is one that can kill a lot of people and destroy a lot of things almost instantly. Excuse me? Honestly, Winter, what did you think I'd meant earlier when I said a lot of dying could be expected? I won't go into the details, but it's not something you would have been taught about yet. I've dealt with it before, though. You're lucky. I am not lucky at all, not even in the slightest. What kind of thing is that? Is it magic? This isn't a magical world, Winter. Thank the higher-ups, you won't be going to those just yet. They're less fun than they sound. I should not be going to worlds with wars, either. Point. You can check your codex for information about what we'll be dealing with, if you'd like. I need to contact support and update them anyway, so at the least it will give you something to do while you wait. What is it called exactly? Just nuclear weapon? Seems rather broad, like spear weapon or fruit drink. I believe that it's a fusion bomb. While Barnaby didn't specify, the rumor I heard supports it. Also, it makes sense, considering their reactors.
Reactors?
You forgot? We saw them when we first arrived. This country utilizes fusion reactors for power.
Oh, right. The looming and shadowy giants that stand on the distant steppes. I remember not wanting to remember them. They were disconcerting. Like many other things here, they looked a mess, and unlike many other things here, they vibrated. I thought they were going to violently break apart.
Anyway, fusion bomb should be under weapons, obviously. It's technically not pure fusion, but most worlds can only do so much.
Not pure?
Well, it's a limited reaction jump started by fission. True fusion bombs are rather like man-made stars.
Stars are beautiful.
Not the word I'd use for those. Just keep the distinction in mind and read that fusion bomb entry.
Right. Understood. I mumble this as Cyrus turns from me and begins raising his wrist to his mouth. He suddenly pauses, though, and addresses me again.
Oh, and Winter, while you're at it, check out the appropriate entries pertaining to this world. Always mind your codex. It could save lives. Remember to keep tabs on it.
Understood, sir. I look at my own wrist. Both of us are sporting bracelets which look very similar to stylish and thin digital watches. We have to regularly hide them from view, as we are advised that they are considered suspicious-looking things, usually.
Hey, it's Cyrus. You guys probably noticed there's trouble at this world. Yes, more trouble. Cut the cutesy crap. This isn't the time. I'm actually...
Oh, he's actually what, exactly? I look at him. He notices that I'm listening, shifts a little, and walks out of my range of hearing. That is worrisome. I look back at my wrist device, my ICD, Interplanar Communications Device, a name which does not actually cover all that it does. It also carries a database, and tells time, and probably 1,000 other things, as it is fancy. Honestly, if there is anything magical I have encountered so far as a student mediator, it is most definitely the ICD. Science magic, or some such. It basically does everything. It is how we get to other worlds and teleport around them, and it can open up a tiny pocket dimension for holding things. An inventory, it's called. I think it is pretty cool. And it came from my own world. I never would have imagined. Right now I need to access the codex. I focus this thought. Open the codex, and the device recognizes the command as it is linked with my mind, which is awesome. A tiny holographic screen emits from the device in a rather inconspicuous fashion, yet still in an acceptably readable size. I begin to navigate the database, searching for, well, let's see, Sewell, Brighton, Gabriel, and Ferdia too, I suppose. I think I'll leave Fusion Bomb for last.
Okay, and it pops up our codex. And we have 2 new entries, one on Ferdia and one on the Fusion Bomb. Let's do Ferdia first. Ferdia is a major society on S86595541, Sewell. It is one of the 3 most significant societies on said world, marked by its rich culture and extreme aggressiveness. It is responsible for many of Sewell's major works of art, literature, and music, while at the same time its army and navy are unrivaled by any other. It is a direct democracy, emphasizing fairness and the power of the individual. Ferdia's wars have been numerous and frequent, but within the last 2 centuries, developments in aeronautics made by other major societies, Gabriel and Rosare, as well as a fair number of truces, have largely put an end to this behavior. Unfortunately, they display an unusual degree of boldness. This has, in the past, caused them to ignore treaties and threats of technological superiority in order to go to war. Interestingly, despite their history of aggression, Ferdia has never tried to expand past the borders of its continent, nor has it created any colonies in foreign lands. Regardless of colonialism, many of the mediations on Sul have concerned Ferdia's actions. Ferdia has always been extraordinarily territorial and protective of its people. This is due to the location on which they settled, on one of the few fertile lands of Sul. The land was and is quite desirable, naturally, and Ferdia was frequently accosted by other tribes and nations attempting to claim this territory. Necessity led them to be a very strong people, and the familiar helpfulness of its society bore a friendly, nationalistic culture. They grew a rich appreciation for their history, which led to some of their later aggressive mannerisms. Ferdians never forget the slights made against their people, and after violently expanding its borders to scare off enemies, it spent much of its time warring the nations that had assaulted them in the past. To date, Ferdia is believed to have initiated 251 wars, and participated in 253. Hence, it has been stereotyped as a nation of violent roughhousing. While true to a point, they tend to be incredibly defensive and quick-tempered. Reports indicate that the Ferdians are generally quite jovial and creative. They are also the least discriminatory nation on Sul. An expression of theirs is that they hate everyone equally. But the truth is that they're surprisingly open to immigration and cultural diversity. It seems that they only ever take issue with countries themselves rather than the country's people. Mediators, be advised, as welcoming and charismatic as they are, do not fall prey to their influence. Remember that war is severely chaotic. Furthermore, while their military action has calmed down recently, tensions are always high when it comes to Ferdian relations with other societies. Currently, Ferdia has been focusing on artistic endeavors and has adopted a somewhat isolationist doctrine. Its military is constantly honed, but has not been deployed in approximately 50 Sul years. So, while they are capable, chances are they're not a main threat at the moment. Now, fusion bomb. Note, this entry concerns fusion weapons, which are initiated by fission. For pure fusion weapons, see the entry on true fusion. Fusion bombs, also known as nukes, are highly destructive weapons fueled primarily by nuclear fusion. Their power ranges anywhere from obliterating cities to entire countries, all in a few moments. Due to this, their possession is often quite efficient in quickly silencing opposition. Stability is often reached, however, when opposing or multiple societies possess the weapons. Mutually assured destruction tends to prevent societies from risking angering one another. Fusion bombs are also notable for their fallout, which often takes several decades to dissipate. To expound, fallout is the result of a nuclear weapons detonation, fission or fusion, on an area. Since the resulting explosion is incredibly radioactive, its effects will linger long after the initial shock has passed, as the radiation will stick to the surrounding life and environment. Radiation sicknesses, symptoms, fevers, disorientation, fatigue, headaches, hair loss, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, internal bleeding, increased risk of cancer, and mutations in survivors' children are all results of a nuclear weapons fallout. Although most systems refer to these weapons as products of fusion, it is not entirely true. While fusion is certainly a part of the process, the reaction must first be started using nuclear fission, an atomic nucleus, often that of uranium, splitting. The reason it is usually begun with fission is due to the incredible energy and pressure required for nuclear fusion. For most societies, fission is the only method available for producing the required energies. If a proper level of energy is reached, the nuclear fuel, often hydrogen, will begin to fuse with itself to produce a new element, often helium. This reaction is significantly more destructive than that of fission, to the point that fission bombs are usually quickly declared obsolete once fusion is explored. The fission stage of these weapons is the primary contributor to the radioactive byproducts left by the detonation.
And that is Fusion Bombs 101. Okay. Certainly, this is amazing. I smile pleasantly in admiration of technology. Most unfortunately, my smile is very, very temporary. As it turns out, the fusion bomb is incredibly horrible. It is a weapon that will detonate and destroy everything in a very large radius with a disturbing rapidity. In its wake is a kind of miasma so powerful that it sticks to a place for several decades before dissipating. It causes sickness to those who did not die and greatly increases the chance of cancer and mutations in the children of survivors. Once again, I am affronted by the sense of unreality that has persisted since my induction into the Mediatorum. This is not even something you would read about in storybooks. This is not a thing one can imagine. Why would you kill somebody else? Why would you kill hundreds, thousands, millions? And what's more, with such effects? What does that accomplish? They said I would not understand it for a long time, that it would be covered later on in my schooling, and that until then I would not be allowed to mediate wars. I need to understand this now, though. It may go down in a matter of hours. What will happen if I remain in this foolish ignorance of mine? My heart thumps and my stomach twists. I pull my hand over my mouth and squeeze my eyes shut. I am not the type to freak out, but I am freaking out a lot today.
Winter. Come on. Calm down. We'll make it through this, and you'll be better for it, okay?
I close my codex and look at Cyrus, who has placed his hands on my shoulders. The gesture does not help. For some reason, it makes me feel worse. My heart tightens and tears escape from my lids. I feel the same feeling that comes when I imagine how it would be if my dad were to die, only the feeling is much more distorted and disgusting. I answer Cyrus with a warbling voice as my emotions are in tatters. I'm sorry, sir. I don't understand. I'm sorry I'm stupid.
Winter, come on. Hey, you aren't stupid. You're a smart girl.
I am? I'm incredibly stupid and you know it.
You're just a bit hard-headed. It's okay. You're young, Winter, and you're strong, too. You're strong, Winter.
I just don't get it. I'm sorry. I raise my head and look at his face. Through my tears, I can see that Cyrus's cheeks are more flushed than my own. He jumps a little, as if he were startled, and hugs my head to his chest. His heart is beating very fast, and I clutch the bottom of his shirt. When he speaks, his voice reverberates through his body in a powerful way, so powerful that I even feel a little more confident.
We will not fail.
I lift my head and look at him again. He shivers and looks from me to the fountain.
I'll make sure of it. But only if you shape up.
I'm terrified.
I know.
Okay.
Let's finish this up, all right?
I push away from him and wipe my eyes and cheeks. I feel as though this is too much for me to take. It is hard to have faith in Cyrus. The further I go down the path of a mediator, the harder it is to have faith in anything. Still, if I feel this is so wrong, then I ought to stop it, right? I should stop this all from happening. I should stop this war, plainly and simply. I steel myself and stare directly into Cyrus's eyes, sure to convey my conviction. Sir.
Yes?
I am confident that we will succeed here too. I'll also make sure that we will not fail.
That mindset is good, Winter Harrison. Hold on to it. It's easy to lose. All right, let's kill the president. Wait, what?
My soul decides to flee from my chest. What?
What? That's the obvious course of action.
That isn't... No! No, it's not. That is the least obvious thing.
Oh, then what's the most?
Talk to him? Convince him that he shouldn't do the thing he wants to do?
Winter, we don't have the time for diplomacy.
What? Mediation is all about diplomacy.
No, it isn't. I shouldn't even have to tell you that. Mediators are simply neutral parties that enter worlds with problems, assess the situation, and solve the issues by whatever means necessary.
You really are scum.
What?
I look him in the eye, nearly snarling. What is it, sir? You think I'm deaf? Every student knows how you handle things. That's right, people talk about you. Everyone knows that you're murderous and cold. Ah! And don't talk to me like I'm that stupid. I remember what they said at orientation. I know that setting existence to balance is totally important. I know how needed it is, but I thought we were more heroic than that. I can't believe I felt confident because of you. Do you even hear yourself? What is necessary? We shouldn't lower ourselves to that barbaric level.
I'm really starting to tire of your lip, Harrison. Now listen here. Many in Brighton do not support aggression against Gabriel, I've heard. That's only natural. War is a terrible thing. Furthermore, while their poverty extends far, it can be argued that this situation is for the best. Barnaby does not see that, though. He sees his own solution as the only solution. The people do not side with him. That is at least one issue that needs to be addressed. They must support him. They must feel that his decision is right. So I will kill him. In doing so, the blame should be placed upon Gabriel, and it should be clear to the populace that they have an enemy to fight.
What is he saying? Was all that talk before to prepare me to accept this evil? To prepare me for these calculated deaths? You're not just asking me to support killing a man, are you? You're going to allow the nuclear bomb to be launched as well? Are you insane? I can't sit by and allow that.
You've underestimated the plight of these people. For Barnaby, who has no real power, to wrest it for himself in such a dramatic fashion suggests that he is not willing to listen to reason. If we had longer than 4 hours, then it would have perhaps been possible to change his mind. But like this, just forget it. That nuke will be launched. All we can do is unite these people before they go to war. We can still bring this nation into order.
Order?
Does that bother you? Stability is paramount, Winter. So cool your head. Think about this logically already. Being a mediator isn't a thing of emotion.
That's...
What?
That's only your opinion, and you're only one person.
Don't act as though you know anything.
I don't know a lot, but what I do know is that murder is the worst thing a person can do. So horrible and disgusting and terrible that we don't even write about it, and it never happens.
What? You want to rebel against me again?
I don't know. I don't know if I should, because you're kind of right. You...
Doesn't look like it.
They're so tainted by the...
Yeah, that's Winter.
They're so tainted by their troubles that it is doubtful I could convince the president to stop this. Killing him instead, though? Letting the nuke go off, too? Could I even forgive myself for that? Yet we probably don't have very much time. From what I read and what I've heard, it seems that weapon can be released easily very, very soon.
Winter?
Blast! I need more information. Are you saying that preventing the launch and war is impossible?
I'd mentioned before that, with luck, it won't be. With their president gone, and the only remaining leader being a backup, there may at least be a delay on the bomb, which would give us more time to attempt other plans. The death of the president could also lead to Gabriel taking Brighton much more seriously, since it signals a dangerous level of civil unrest. In which case, Gabriel would probably leash this nation completely before they even had the chance to launch the nuke. Alternatively, there is also a small chance, a very small chance, that Gabriel will give in to Barnaby's demands. In the likely case that none of these possibilities come to pass, however, you can still expect the relations between Gabriel and Brighton to proceed much differently from now on. Brighton's citizens will believe that Gabriel has a stranglehold on them so complete that they can kill their president less than an hour after a threat of aggression. Some will be in fear to rebel against such power, but many will be emboldened in the belief that Gabriel has gone too far. What's more, once that bomb has gone off, the citizens won't be afraid for much longer. The fusion bomb holds unprecedented power here. Nobody understands it, not even Brighton. It could separate these two muddled nations and produce a new order. As an added bonus, once they see its power and grow to fear it, it's probable this world will never see a nuclear weapon launched again. If Barnaby were to launch it now without his nation's consent, the people would condemn him as a tyrant. It could lead to both a civil war and an international one. We need to make him a martyr, a hero in death. He will be a sacrificial symbol of Brighton loyalty, and the people will follow him posthumously.
Gracious, he seems so sure of himself. Would this really be for the best? Would this bring about order? What should I do?
That is a good question, Winter Harrison. What should we do? Do we actually follow Cyrus's plans, or do we rebel against him and try and figure out a potentially peaceful option, or a hopefully peaceful one? Good lord. This escalated quickly. I thought there was actually going to be some politics and negotiations, maybe some mediations going on, but no, we're just going all out. Goodness. You are going to have to tune in next time, though, to find out just what happens. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Game Break. I hope you're as entertained and distracted as I was. But now it is time to get back to being creative already. Good evening, ladies, menfolk, and non-binary viewers, to another episode of Game Break. I am Charles, coming to you this time round with another episode of Dysfunctional Systems. Last time round, we were left with a somewhat disconcerting emergency warning message thing on the television that kind of broke up the bar scene. So it's about time that we find out just what that was all about. So, going back to that. Now, I did notice, after recording last time round, that we do have a new codex entry. So, let's find out what that is first. It's an entry on Gabriel. Gabriel is a major society on Sul. It is one of the three most significant societies on said world, marked by extreme wealth and influence. It is the richest society on Sul and has connections with nearly all other Sul societies. Gabriel is currently a patriarchal monarchy with socialist leanings, government-funded health, education, welfare, etc. The majority of mediations on Sul have dealt with this society. Gabrians began as a nomadic, trading people, quickly establishing a reputation for their amiability and good dealings. Trust was heavily placed in them for their reliability, and they often ended up playing intermediaries between several budding nations on their home continent. Eventually, seeing the value in the messages they were charged to carry between countries, they began trading information. Their mobility, connections, mercenary escort, and knowledge of secrets protected them from assault, and soon the nomads became rather notorious. At some point in time, they founded the Gabrian nation along the coast of their continent. From their new settlement, they amassed in the last 2 minutes of conversation before this television message kicked in, so I'm curious, how is that going to help play in? Let's find out. The message will now play. The crest vanishes, revealing a man in a suit at a desk, a dapper brown suit and a large brown desk. I imagine he must be important, as the crest from before is quite brazenly carved into the wood of its furniture. As for the man himself, he looks older than Cyrus, which is ancient at worst and aged 60 at least. He looks very tired. His face is worn, and his expression does nothing for the mood. He does have some fake-looking hair, though. That's pretty funny. I almost have a small chuckle, but given the severe expressions of my company, I decided it would be best to stifle it. Brighton. Brighton, we have endured. As a people, as a country, as a workforce, we have endured these past 120 years. Surely you all are military and turn to imperialistic goals. It did not take them long to have much of the world under their influence, with colonies on every continent and a grasp on most countries. That doesn't sound familiar at all. Gabriel is also largely responsible for the technological advancement of S86595541. Their ingenuity and cleverness mixed with opportunism has pushed scientific discovery along much faster than the average system. They have managed to develop and act upon nuclear theory, powering their society and old colonies with rudimentary, somewhat experimental nuclear fusion reactors. Somewhat experimental, that doesn't sound good. Their latest project has been the construction of artificial islands on Sul's oceans. Currently, Gabriel remains at the top of Sul society. While it has granted technical freedom to all of its colonies, it seems that they are still leashed in some way or another to their mother country. Okay, that's a nice little bit of background. I'm pretty sure that showed up with it. All are very, very tired. I, my people, my friends, am very, very tired. The word sobering meant little to me before this, but I completely understand it at this moment. The way this man carries himself, his speech, and his dour voice have all combined to chill the warmth from my head. I set my stool back down and have an actual seat, looking up at the monitor with certain intensity. The man has me engaged. I'm tired of the media portraying our common man, the fool, an ignorant sort all too glad to do the deeds of his betters. Tired of those foreign companies providing us work and wages that we will celebrate for only pennies more. Tired of hearing my people say in passing and in normalcy, "No, I do not know if we will eat today, perhaps tomorrow." Brighton, I am tired of our masters. I am so tired. People of Brighton, we have grown so used to freedom